Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I'd love Nicki Minaj to sit on my face.
And I'm Gary. And today we're going to review and discuss The Monster Squad, which came out in 1987. Ian, why don't you give us the synopsis?
Well, 100 years ago, Van Helsing tried to destroy Dracula and all the creatures of the night by using a mystical amulet. He blew it, and mystical amulet was lost. Back in present day, Dracula has now turned up in a small town looking for the amulet and has recruited the Wolfman, Frankenstein's monster, and a weird creature from the Black Lagoon to help him find the amulet. To stop him, we follow a group of children who have formed the Monster Squad.
This is, without a doubt, a cult movie. Although, of course, like most cult movies that we know, didn't start out that way, as this was a commercial failure upon its release. And I've said this before about other films that came out around the same time as The Lost Boys. If you weren't The Lost Boys, you were soon to be forgotten.
Yeah.
And it's easy to see why that happened with this particular film. Because it's near enough impossible, especially in the late 80s, to market a film of this caliber. Do you market it to adults, to teenagers, or to kids? Because tonally, this film has elements that belong within all three target audiences. And if you're a fan of the horror genre, why would you want to watch your universal monster villains in a kid's movie? And I suppose then again, if you are a child, this is the sort of film that you'd want to seek out. However, you probably never would have even heard of it because there was very little to no advertisements for it.
Yeah.
So this film pretty much seemed doomed to fail from the get-go. And as I've said, though, has now been celebrated as a cult classic, which it rightfully deserves. And you can see its rating slowly moving up on like Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb. And it's easy to see why, especially when you look at the caliber of filmmakers behind this project. I'm just going to start with Stan Winston. Who you all know is one of the best, if not the best, creature makeup effects designer. Absolutely fantastic creatures, and I really like the way that he modernized Universal's monsters for this film. I think the Wolfman maybe is the only one who looks a little bit funny.
Yeah.
But then I've always found werewolves in films to look particularly strange if you're not American Werewolf in London or The Howling.
Yeah.
You look.
So we also got Fred Dekker, the director of the film, and I remember him also as from Night of the Creeps.
Yeah.
RoboCop 3, and a bunch of Star Trek Enterprise episodes. Okay, so Fred Dekker's maybe not had the best career, but some interesting projects there. But he also worked with writer Shane Black, who Lethal Weapon, Iron Man 3, Predator, The Predator, which is currently in pre-production, and Fred Dekker and Shane Black are both working together on it. So I think it's amazing that these two have sort of worked with each other throughout the last 30 years.
I thought it was really cool as well. I noticed at the beginning, this film's produced by Peter Hyams as well.
Absolutely, yeah. From Outland, Time Cop,
Sudden Death.
But it also was executive produced by Rob Cohen, who was behind, I think, the Fast and the Furious movies.
Yeah.
So, like I said, there is some fantastic minds working behind the camera here. Before we get to our cast.
Wait, I just want to say one thing. I mean, Miss Carlson's a nice teacher and all, but she's boring and has an odd-shaped head. That's why Sean and the guys call her Meow Mix, because her head's shaped like a cat head. But I don't circus. How rude.
I saw this poster when I was a kid in my local video store, and I was just like, I want to watch that. I want to watch that because, I love horrors. I love horror characters, the Wolfman, Frankenstein's monster, Dracula. I just love it. And I love the group of kids on the poster as well that says, these great big monsters that are pretty much unstoppable evil beings are going to be taken on by pretty much the Goonies. The Goonies of the Monster Squad. But I never got a chance, and it really fucking bummed me out for most of my life that not only could I never get a copy of it unless I personally went out and bought it, which I couldn't because I was too busy buying other things, nobody else owned it. Nobody I know owns a copy of this film on DVD. And I'm just like, why? Why don't we all own a copy of the Monster Squad in our collection? It's a classic. Right at the start, you know, you get that text come up and it tells you that Van Helsing was trying to stop all the creatures of the night. You know, Dracula does his mad little transformation thing, falling from the ceiling, and Van Helsing gets this girl to read scriptures for this amulet, and all of a sudden zombies start popping out of the ground. There's I wouldn't say a battle sequence, but you know, the freedom fighters are trying to stop the zombies, and a portal turns up, and all of a sudden, boom, you're in present day small town America. I don't even think we get told what the name of the town is, and we follow Sean and Patrick, who are in their principal's office being moaned at by their principal that they're not paying attention in science. You've got Andre Gower playing Sean and Robby Kiger playing Patrick. These two kids are so cool. I mean, one of them is wearing a Stephen King Rules t-shirt. I want a t-shirt that says Stephen King Rules. You know, and the principal's just going on about, oh, you're supposed to be studying science, but you're drawing monsters. Yeah, but we love monsters, but monsters don't exist. Science exists. And I'm like, you're in the wrong film, mate. You're in the wrong film.
Science is real. Monsters are not.
And then we get introduced to the other cast as well. You've got Horace.
Wait a minute, that's not his name. It's Fat Kid.
Yeah. Fat Kid. Politically, this film is not correct.
Oh no.
We're going to just say that now. I mean, you're calling a kid who's got a bit of a glandular weight problem Fat Kid. And it's not even like a nickname. They don't. It's like that's his name, and he spends most of the film arguing, my name is Horace, so stop calling me Fat Kid.
But even his friends call him Fat Kid.
Yeah. You're just like, oh my god. He's played by Brent Challam, and I do love that little sequence at the beginning where he's being picked on by two of the bullies, and they take his Snickers bar from him and they drop it on the floor and stand on it, and they start beating on him, and you're like, what the fuck? That's bullying. And then Rudy turns up, played by Ryan Lambert.
Cool kid
alert, you know, sunglasses, leather jacket, everybody else, even the bullies are scared of him.
Lights a match on his boot. He's like...
And he makes the bully pick up the Snickers bar and eat it. And you're like, right, okay, that kid's cool. I like him.
But where did he come from? And how was him and Horace friends? It doesn't make sense. And that is what I was saying about this film, is that it is filled with outsiders, really, that don't really belong. And it's all of the people that don't really belong coming together. And that really is quite sweet when you watch this film through.
Yeah, I mean, if you take away... I mean, before we get into it, if you take away all of the monster stuff and keep it just realistic, you've got fat kids being picked on by bullies, you've got sisters being picked on by their brothers, you've got families falling apart between the detective and the mum, you know, and you've got Rudy just trying to get laid by the kid next door's sister. And so literally you've got like a lot of family teen angst problems going on, but then all of a sudden you go, Dracula's turned up and he's trying to take over the world, and you're like, oh shit, well all this other stuff seems like complete crap compared to the stuff that we've got to deal with.
I put that down to Shane Black. I think it's what he does when he is working within a genre piece like an action movie.
Yeah.
He will bring in the family element or you'll bring in real life situations which really ground the film into a reality, which enables us to really care for the characters that
Yeah.
are in otherwise a ridiculous setup.
Yeah, I mean, he does that a lot in Lethal Weapon. Lethal Weapon 1, you know, you got the whole Murtaugh's family, and you've got the issues you've got with Riggs's wife being dead. And I like how it works really well in that movie. It doesn't work so much in Predator because you don't know the backstory to the mercenaries, but you do grow attached to the mercenaries, especially when they start all getting picked off. In this movie, I'm 34 now, and like I said, I've wanted to watch this film all my life. Once I started watching it, I was a kid again. I was 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, just watching these kids all start to group together. They're all talking about monster movies.
Wolfman doesn't go to work. He's not like a guy.
What are you talking about? He walks around, he wears pants.
He had to wear pants because those movies were made in the 40s. He had to wear them so you wouldn't see his wolf dork. Wolf dork?
They have been watching old school, universal, classical monster movies, and they've studied them, and they're waiting for these things to rise so they can put a stop to them. And then you see Dracula, and I'm thinking, wow, you kids are pretty fucked, you know? I love that bit as well. Is you've got David Proval, who I've brought up a number of times in a lot of movies, who played Richie Aprile in The Sopranos, and he's playing an aircraft pilot, and they're delivering a crate to America.
Just a trivia here for you, but I don't know if you noticed Browning written on the side of the plane as a nod to the original Dracula director.
Nice. And he hears a noise, and his co-pilot's just like, yeah, you should go check that out while I stay here and make scary noises. And I'm like, that doesn't seem fair. But there's that cool little bit. He goes in there, he comes across Dracula. He opens up the cargo bay doors, and Dracula just floats there like, fuck you. I can fly. And turns into mist and turns into a bat and flies down. And I'm like, okay, Dracula's here now. And he's got Frankenstein's monster's body.
I like the fact that he drops these coffins out of the cargo hold of the plane.
Yeah.
And then sort of lingers around before flying off himself. Yet in the next shot, we see the coffin hit the lake or hit the water.
Yeah.
And Dracula's already hanging upside down underneath a tree. And I'm like, how did you get down there so fast?
Well, he's Dracula.
Oh, yeah.
He can move really fast. Frankenstein's monster, played by Tom Noonan.
Just brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I've loved Tom Noonan ever since RoboCop 2.
Yes.
Absolutely loved him in Synecdoche, New York.
Last Action Hero.
Last Action Hero. He's just a fantastic actor who seems to lose himself in whatever role he's playing and really elevates it.
Yeah, I mean, you recognise his face, but you recognise his characters more. I mean, I always recognise him as Kane from RoboCop 2, you know, and then he becomes that big fucking giant robot thing, which is badass. But you've got Duncan Regehr, I believe he's called, who's playing Dracula. I don't really think he went on to do much after this.
Again, he appeared in a few episodes. He appeared in The Next Generation and Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
But nothing really that noteworthy.
I mean, he's more of a classical actor, I think. You know, he probably does a lot of stage. But his presence as Dracula really comes across quite well. You know, he's got the cape. He's got the skin tone. You know, he's just got this presence that you adapt to a lot of classical black and white Bela Lugosi Dracula movies.
Which is interesting because in this film he has an interesting range from incredibly cheeseball, over the top moments.
Yeah.
And then there's other bits where he's really subtle, really calculated, and really sadistic.
Yes. Yeah.
And so it does waver a little bit. Like I said, tonally the film wavers, but without a doubt, whenever he's on screen, you're compelled to watch.
Give me the amulet, you bitch!
You've also got Tom Woodruff Jr. playing the Gill Man.
The xenomorph alien?
Yeah. I love the design of that creature, and I love the way it works. But he has like 3 scenes.
He is the most underused of the Universal monsters in this film, and even when he gets to his sort of climax in the film, it's a bit of a letdown.
Yeah. I mean, he lifts a crate out of the water, and I was just like, there you go. That's
Job done.
job done. He got the crate out. You've also got Michael Mackay playing the mummy. I don't know. I think the mummy is slightly better than Gilman, just the way it gets taken out.
Yeah. He gets more screen time as well, and gets his own scare moment, which is, it's kind of a sequence in the film that makes no sense, and plot-wise also makes no sense unless the mummy regenerates by scaring kids and by hiding in their closets.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at that big, scary monster. Ooh.
You also have Carl Tybalt playing the Wolfman. Now, when he's human, that's Napoleon Dynamite's Uncle Rico. I was like, holy fucking shit. You know, you've gone from that to that. I love Napoleon Dynamite, and Uncle Rico is a bit of a douche. But with the Wolfman, you know, he turns up at the police station and he's like, you need to lock me away. You need to lock me away. I'm going to become a wolf. And they're like, oh, whatever. And he starts just going crazy. And so they blast him. And you're like, okay, he's just a madman. But then he becomes the Wolfman. And now he's the lackey for Dracula, or the pet.
It's one of my favourite parts about the film, looking at the character of the Wolfman, where he is a prisoner to Dracula.
Yes.
And one of my favourite moments is when it's during the daytime and Dracula literally has to tie the Wolfman to a chair in his human form so that he can't escape.
Yeah.
Because he can only control the Wolfman part of his character. I really like that.
I love it as well. I mean, I'm going to go into it later, but the fact that they talk about the only way to kill a Wolfman is silver bullets. And then they try to kill the Wolfman. And it doesn't work. And you're like, oh, that's awesome. But we'll get to the final battle. We'll get to the final battle. You know, we've still got to do the investigation with the kids. And it starts off quite, I mean, at first I was thinking, oh, something spooky stuff has to start to happen. But it doesn't really. You know, you've got the dad who's a police detective investigating the mummy disappearance and the body of the man who's, you know, said he was a wolfman, and his body's now disappeared. You know, you've got a black hearse driving around with no license plates, and you're thinking, okay, you know, the detective is going through the motions trying to understand all this while trying to balance his marriage, which is kind of falling apart. He's also trying to spend time with his son, because his son wants to watch, and I could not believe that they haven't made a movie called this, Groundhog Day. The horror movie.
Well, Groundhog Day wouldn't come for like at least another 5 years. The Bill Murray version we all know and love.
But this is Groundhog Day Part 12, which this sounds like the coolest horror franchise, because what does he say? He gets blown up, chopped up, burnt and scattered all the way to Norway, and his son goes, no, Dad, that was Part 7. I'm like, if you've got to do that to a creature, that must be a cool fucking franchise.
Your plot? Sean, it is a guy with an axe. Anyway, I thought they killed him in the last one.
They did. And he returns from his grave.
He returns from the grave? Sean, he always returns from the grave. If they blew him up, put his head in a blender, and mailed the rest of the pieces to Norway, he would still return from the grave.
That was Part 7.
But I love the fact that it's, again, another memorable sequence is that he's denied being allowed to go to the theatre to see this film.
Yeah.
And later on, we catch him on the roof of his house with binoculars looking over at the drive-in.
Yeah.
I was like, that's so cool. We need to bring back drive-in theatres.
Yeah. The fact that he's just sat there on his roof and his dad just comes along and just hands him some burgers.
It's a great moment. And, you know, we've seen that the family is fractured and the mother has had enough of the situation. But I like the fact that the father is still trying to be this father figure to his son.
Yeah,
it works.
Which is difficult, because, you know, it's like he says to his wife, you knew the package when you married me.
Look, It's important.
I'm important.
I love you.
Prove it.
I'll see you in a few hours.
And you saw a lot of it, especially in 80s action movies, where the wives are like, "Oh, but you're a cop, and you're always leaving us." Yeah, but that's his job. It's no difference to maybe a medic or doctor.
Well, this film also has the slight angle of it's a boys' film.
Yeah.
And girls are kind of looked down upon throughout the entire film, really.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, the mum is shunned and kind of sworn at sometimes by her children.
Says it's from that old house up on Shadowbrook Road.
Holy shit. Cow, I meant, sorry. Mom, do you know who wrote this book?
Yeah, it's Van Helsing something. Now, he's the one that fights Godzilla, right?
Dracula, Mom.
Well, then which is the really tall one?
That's Godzilla.
The girl next door is being perved on and having a picture taken. Why does she get undressed in front of the window?
Every day.
Every day.
Well,
You think she'd close the curtains? Yeah, and the little sister, Phoebes, who so desperately wants to be in the monster squad and knows all the answers, is completely being pushed away. And I love the fact that it harkens back to the classic Frankenstein movie when Dracula finally revives Frankenstein's monster. We'll call him Frank because it's easy that way. He revives Frank and says to him, "Right, I want you to go get these kids. They've got Van Helsing's diary. Kill them." And you're like, "Oh, fuck, this is quite scary." But then Frank comes across Phoebes while she's sat next to the river, which harkens back to, obviously, the classic Frankenstein movie. And they instantly become friends. And there's something in Tom Noonan's performance as this kind of childlike Frankenstein revitalized in the 20th century, learning words like bogus and gross, and how, I don't know if he wants to protect Phoebes and the rest of the boys, or he just feels like he's he's not a killer.
Well, no, he was always misunderstood.
Yeah.
And obviously he has some of the best moments in the film with these kids. And I also like the fact that the actor was never seen out of makeup with the kids.
Yeah.
Only when he was in makeup.
Scary.
He has some of the sweetest moments.
And then he gets that picture of the girl next door. And you're like, nice, Frank. Nice. We follow the boys as well while they've got Van Helsing's diary. And it's all in German. And they can't decipher it. So they take it to a local German man's house.
Not just a local German man, the scary German.
Yeah. And I sat there thinking, oh, there's going to be something freaky about him. But then he takes them in, he feeds them pie, he deciphers the book. And I love the fact that, I think he's actually a Jew who can read German because he's got the numbers on his arm, hasn't he?
It's just there, just for a moment that you see the tattoo on his arm, which is just enough for you to go, and then it cuts and it's never brought up again. But it's one of those things that Shane Black's put in there, just like the family drama, just for the horrifying realization of reality.
Wow.
Being just sat right there, and it's like, damn.
Yeah, see, I thought I knew there was something to do with concentration camps when I saw what was on his arm, but I thought it was numbers. Mm-hmm. I thought that was the numbers, like you see. But yeah, it's the way he delivers that line as well. Like, I've had a bit of a relationship in my time with monsters, and you're like, right, okay, young kids may not understand this, but if you're a teenager or an adult, you'd see that and be like, right, okay, Dracula, Frankenstein, and the Wolfman, they're all fictional. That's very, very real.
Now would I?
Man, you sure know a lot about monsters.
Now that you mention it, I suppose I do.
There's something that I noticed watching the film, and And of course, everyone knows what Dracula spelled backwards is Alucard.
Yes.
And we get this sequence where the kid's trying to figure it out, and it's like, oh, that's kind of cute. But I love the fact that the mother has written on the board that Alucard has called and asking for Van Halen's diary. It's like,
Van Halen. So I love the fact that he always has the three brides, doesn't he?
He does,
You know, and Dracula says to the Wolfman when he's tied up, "Oh, I'm going to go for a quick snack," and he's got 3 girls just in the closet, and they would turn up later on. But I always love the way that they are always portrayed with the kind of the weird ghostly wind blowing their clothes back, and the way they kind of float down the
always wearing these
corridors.
white nightgowns.
Yeah.
Now, I have a small problem with this as well, is that, you know, Dracula, when he wants to, can just snap a neck of a police officer. He can take out these 3 women, no problem.
Yeah.
But goddamn, can he not kill a kid? He'll have the kid in his hands, and he'll let them get away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give it to me! Give it to me!
Garlic!
Yeah, well, it's a kids' movie, guy.
I know.
You know, we're not.
I know.
It's not like we're watching Thor or anything. But Dracula realizes that the amulet he's looking for is in his own basement because he can feel it. He can't get to it because it's covered in crucifixes. You know, the kids sneak into the house and they steal the amulet, and it's all building up now. It's all kicking off to the final battle. And it's just a mad sequence of events. The mummy jumps on the back of the Jeep as they're trying to chase away Rudy's montage of nicking shit. He makes silver bullets in the workshop by stealing the mum's silverware. Which, if you watch carefully, there's no way he could do that, because he kind of drops the stuff into the bucket, then pours the water immediately into these things, and then drops the bullets out like they're completely cool. And I'm like, yeah, that's not quick enough. He's making wooden stakes in the workshop as well. He steals the bow and arrow from some archery guy at PE. I'm like, Rudy, you're cool, but fuck me. You know, leave some stuff for other people.
It's one of those points where you've got to have a montage, because that just covers everything. You don't have to explain how these bullets are working or how they're all doing their parts in time.
Yeah.
The music, though, upbeat 80s montage music.
Yeah, you gotta love the upbeat this montage I put up there second place to the montage from Lost Boys when they're all preparing for the final battle.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's that mad Jeep chase sequence where the mummy jumps on the back and they hook his rags around an arrow and fire the arrow into a tree, and it just unwraps him. And it's quite a mad little sequence of events, just watching the mummy's bits just kind of disappear, and then all of a sudden what's left is his skull.
See you later, Band-Aid breath.
I was like, that's the mummy dealt with.
Yep.
Then you've got the fight with the Wolfman. How do you take out Wolfman? Well, you stick dynamite in his pants and push him out of a window and watch him explode. That's pretty gory. His bits are all over the floor.
You'd think, really, that would kill a werewolf.
Yeah. Not in this movie. No. He regens. He fucking regens. And then you've got the Gill Man, who, Horace, fat kid, needed his little moment. So he manages to get one of the policeman's shotguns and just blasts it in the chest. Dead. Like that.
Gilman just kind of stood there, didn't do anything, and he went down in a single blast. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
makes Horace look like a badass, but
Well, I mean, when you think about classic horror movies, Creature from the Black Lagoon, because that's how I see that thing.
Oh, yeah,
Creature from Black Lagoon. That's fourth on your list. You know, Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, and then Creature from the Black Lagoon's like down here.
Down there with the mummy, I guess.
Yeah, and the mummy. Well, yeah, I suppose Mummy comes above it. Boris Karloff.
Yeah.
And then you have the final battle with Dracula trying to get the amulet from Thebes. You've tried to get one of the brothers' sister, who we've been seeing has been taking her kit off for most of the movie. You see her trying to read the inscription because you need a virgin.
What your brother is so delicately attempting to inquire, and let me add my own personal curiosity, is the degree to which you may have or have not, at some point in time, been dorked.
You guys are sick.
And then you realise, surprise, she's not a virgin.
No, what do you mean, no? Well, Steve, but he doesn't count! Doesn't count!
What? But then at the same time, the film doesn't let you know that you need a female virgin. Because I'm pretty sure all these kids are virgins.
Yeah, I love that way that they were like, well, what about her to Thebes? And she's about 5 years old. And I'm like, well, I fucking hope she's a virgin.
What?
Is she a virgin?
She? A virgin? Yes, a virgin. Where goes the girl?
She can't read, she's 5 years old!
I'll help her.
Because if she's not, then what the fuck?
There is an epic showdown. I love the fact that all the cops turn up and Dracula just takes them all out.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know why they don't shoot at him from range, but they all like to get in real close and melee with Dracula. And it doesn't end very well.
No. I mean, it's the same with the Wolfman. I was expecting the Wolfman. He's already beaten up the dad, like giving him a right good kicking. And then when he comes back, the cops are all like, jump on him! I'm like, it's a 6 foot Wolfman! He's going to rip your... Oh, no, he's not going to rip your head off because now Rudy's just pulled out a gun and shot him with silver bullets. It's like, wow, Rudy, you took out the 3 brides?
Wait a minute. There were 3 brides.
Yeah.
But he only took out 2 of them.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh.
The 3rd bride disappeared.
Deleted scene. You probably kind of figured that, you know, he was going to kill them all.
Yeah. So now it's just Dracula left and the portal is opening up and we can see everything's being sucked into the portal. Again, another memorable moment is when Dracula picks up Phoebe and and she's screaming, and of course it's an actual response to her scream, because after the prop sort of elevates her up, it was the first time she had ever seen Dracula with the contact lenses and the teeth in.
Yeah.
And so her scream is a genuine scream to a real reaction to seeing that. But it's Dracula's line, where he calls her a bitch.
Give me the amulet, you bitch!
Right to her face! You're just like, the kids had teetered by swearing throughout the movie. You know, even Thebes calls her brothers chicken shits.
It's okay, you guys. He's friends with us. Come on, don't be chicken shit.
And you're like, hold on a minute, she's like 5 years old. But then when he grabs her and she's like, give me the amulet, you bitch. I was like, ooh, that's a bit harsh. It's a bit harsh. It's finally the portal is, like I said, is open. Frankenstein grabs Dracula, throws him onto the stake, and then he gets pulled in by Van Helsing, who's been held in limbo. You know, we saw him at the beginning, and then we see him briefly at the end. And I'm like,
I'm pretty sure Van Helsing didn't go through the portal, though.
well, I think at the beginning, anybody, from what I gather from the end, anybody near to the portal will get sucked in and get held in limbo. And because we didn't see him, we're supposed to assume that he just kind of got sucked into there and has been trapped in limbo for 100 years. That's why Dracula hasn't been defeated by him like 7 million times. But he finally grabs Dracula, pulls him into the portal, and Frankenstein is trying his best not to get pulled away, and Phoebe is screaming to him.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think the portal would close unless Frankenstein went. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's Frankenstein wanting to stay. I think he's just trying to say goodbye to Phoebe before he has to go.
Yeah.
And it's a really sad moment. Like, I mean, Tom Noonan acting underneath all of that makeup is just enough to make you cry.
Yeah.
It's so sad. It's like the friendship. It's the E.T. moment, you know?
It's the way that she throws that teddy bear to him and he grasps the teddy bear as he goes in. You're like, oh, at least he's got something to remember her by. And then the army turns up, and the army's like, what's going on? And the kids are like, we've got it. We're the Monster Squad. And then the music kicks in, and you're like, yeah!
so many memorable moments in the film that it's really hard to have favourites. I love the opening of the film. It feels like a 1970s exploitation film.
Yeah.
Just with the gothic castle that it opens with.
Yeah.
Just all of the monsters that are coming out of the ground, the skeletons, the zombie-looking creatures, the spell, you know, the Dracula's wife eating a dead possum, you know.
Yeah.
It's just all of it just really works, and it's a great setup for the rest of the film when it moves to the modern day 1980s America.
Yeah.
It just the juxtaposition of it works really well. The little girl, the character of Phoebe, you know, she is so damn adorable. All of the Universal monsters, they're all memorable, even Gillman.
Yeah.
And I love the treehouse. I love all the moments with Dracula when he's in kill mode. I love it when he turns up to the house and throws dynamite into the treehouse, and he thinks he's going to kill all the kids in that one blast, and it's just like, God damn, he's not pulling any punches now.
He kills the partner.
Yes,
That's what surprised me, is the partner's stuck in the car and the detectives go out and he just fucking throws dynamite in the car and blows it up. I was like, wow.
Dispatch, we got a 1035. Send backup. Hurry it up. Get out of there!
I remember that actor from Daylight.
Yeah.
He was also in Rocky.
Yeah.
But he was like the comic side relief partner character in this film. It was a bit overblown, but still memorable.
Yeah, yeah.
And there was something else that I noticed as well while Dracula was blowing up the treehouse, was that the mother had actually packed her bags and was getting ready to leave.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, but because everything that was going on, like literally outside the house, she doesn't get a chance to. I was like, there's so much hidden throughout the film as well that, you know, you catch it, but you're not. But because of the fantasy element of the film distracting you from what's, you know, real.
Yeah.
It's just an awesome blend. It's really hard to pick out any favourite scene. Like the kid when he writes the note to the army guys.
Yeah.
And it's just brilliant.
Dear army guys, there are
Come
monsters
quick.
in our town. Come quick.
And it's
Eugene.
misspelt like a 5-year-old would misspell it.
Me, favourite scenes. I love the first scene where the mummy has turned up into Eugene's bedroom and he goes to his mum and dad's and he says, there's a monster in my bedroom. And as a parent, you know, you always hear that. And it's the way the dad walks in and says, oh, come on. And he's getting all these imaginary monsters out because he thinks his son's read too many comic books. And then he opens the cupboard, but he doesn't look in there. And the mummy is literally stood behind him. And he's like, look, see, there's no monsters, and closes the door. And the kid is stood there with his hands in his eyes like, oh my God, it's going to kill me. That was really good. I love Phoebe saying, don't be chicken shit. Like you said, it's just so shocking. You don't expect it, especially from a girl that age. And then my third favourite scene is when the Wolfman turns up in front of the kids, and Horace is there like, what do I do? And his friend says, kick him in the balls, and he runs up and kicks the Wolfman right in the nuts. And I'm like, be a scary monster or not, kicking you in the balls is going to take you out.
Kick him in the nose! Kick him in the nose! He doesn't have nose! Do it! Do it! Wolfman's got nards!
Just like Gary said, all the other sequences are just gems as well. I mean, Wolfman getting blown up and then regenning himself. Horace having his moment in front of the bullies by killing Gilman. The mummy unwrapping. The three brides being nailed by Rudy. The girl saying that she's not a virgin because she didn't think that one counted. You know, just... This film is just an absolute treasure to get through. And I highly recommend it. Not just as a Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon piece if you're ever bored and you need something to watch. But this now goes up in one of my top 5 Halloween movies. Mainly because we always talk about Halloween, about how you're supposed to be scared and terrified and blood and guts and all that kind of stuff. But Halloween's about having fun as well. You know, it's about sitting down and watching classic horror movies like Dracula and the Wolfman and the classic Universal ones. This one sits in there. If you're a kid, go trick-or-treating, come home, eat some candy, watch the Monster Squad.
I've got a question for you, Ian.
Yes.
As you have a son.
Yes.
At what age would you deem them appropriate to be able to watch this film?
I'd let him watch it maybe 10, 12, something like that. At the age of... They know curse words, because that's the thing. If the curse words weren't in this movie, you could watch this film at any age. But because of the curse words, you know, there are times now, like we've sit down and watched Home Alone. Home Alone 1. Do you believe how many times Macaulay Culkin swears in that movie? And I have to sit there and explain it, you know? But you've got to explain the situations to them, and especially with some of the scariest scenes in this movie, like the Wolfman exploding, you know, you've really got to give the children credit to understand that the blood and guts and gore, it's not real, you know, it's prosthetics. And I think 12 is a good age for that.
Of course, I definitely recommend Monster Squad. I think even if you've never seen it, but you're aware of its cult presence, you have to see it. And you will not be disappointed by it. You might be taken aback by it, but if you still have your inner child within you, whether you're male or female, I think you will, without a doubt, get pure joy out of this film. As it is complete entertainment from start to finish. Yes, there are plot holes, or, you know, you can theorize as to what the hell is going on? What's the motivations of the rest of these villains? I mean, we know Dracula's after the amulet. Why? Don't know. How come, you know, the mummy after 2,000 years has decided to walk around now? No, who knows?
Well, the amulet is obviously pure good, and if they destroy it, evil will reign for 100 years.
So were those the only monsters? You know?
Yeah.
Like, if it's that big a deal... Yeah, there's so many things that you can keep going into it. But
we need a Monster Squad 2. We need a Monster Squad 2.
Well, yeah, just do not remake it. This thing is pure, and it still is. And the fact that more and more people are now becoming aware of it is amazing. And so again, if you've not seen it, yeah, you have to go and watch it. Definitely.
We're the Monster Squad.
Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.
I don't wanna go